Hey guys, Chef Coty here, and thank you for joining me on the Now documentary. I'm really excited to be here today with you all and enjoying this moment of now that we're living in. Uh, I'm here today because I wanted to make challah bread, and I was testing it out for this concept I have for just this awesome, amazing concept of a new place to be and go to that's going to have an awesome foundation and a community to grow and build together. So I'm needing this challah bread recipe to test out because it's the foundation of some of the food that you're going to see on the menu that I'm really excited for. So I thought, why not film my moment of now for you all in this documentary, since this is a documentary about the now and living in the moment and doing what we can and what we are capable of doing while we have this time to grow and become more aware of our surroundings and this world we live in and the sustainability of it. And this new concept I have is just going to bring all of that together. It's not so much new. It's more. It's a tradition concept, but I'm modernizing it, and I'll tell you guys more about that later. But first, back to the challah bread, and today I'm going to be making a simple challah bread recipe using a yeast leavening agent. That's what's going to help it rise and get nice and grow and gets nice and puffed up for what I am using it for will be for patty rolls, my vegetarian patty rolls that I intend to be making for the new diner concept that I have. So here I have one braided. However, I'm going to show you all how to make a braided one, as well as a garlic nut, but a challah nut, and just a simple challah roll. So this way you all can see the variety of ways that you're able to bake this bread for a huge gathering, which braided is traditional, and especially during this time of year, lots of people love to make this type of bread of challah rolls because there's lots of family gatherings, and even small gatherings, no matter what it be, it's a good shareable loaf of bread that I always love to make, especially for these veggie patties that I'm going to be making later on. Well, they may be veggies, but we'll see. Anyway, so a little more, my water right here, we need to let's see, a half a cup of a little more than warm water that I mixed with about a teaspoon, not quite a full teaspoon of organic cane sugar. And it is now ready to have your active dry yeast, about a tablespoon of that. You want to sprinkle that over the top of the water. Now you want warm water so that it wakes up the yeast, and then you have that sugar in there, and what that sugar is going to do is it's going to feed the yeast. So this way the yeast will grow. So that's how we get our leavening agent to expand and grow and help the bread rise in the process. And speaking of bread, now the yeast needs to sit for probably about 5 minutes, I would say. And in the meantime, I went ahead and already measured out my flour and also my real salt, which I'm putting in there now. This is my go-to salt in the kitchen all the time. I love it. It's probably my favorite one, without question. It's such a mild base, well, maybe stronger for people who aren't used to like a true salt, because this salt is so tasty, and it just goes great in everything. Now I'm just putting in a half a teaspoon is what I'm putting into here for this bread recipe. Now back to the real salt. I visited the salt mine, and it is awesome and amazing, and the people who work there, not only the people who work there, but the owners of the business, the founders, they are awesome and amazing people who love sustainability, love giving back to the world and the community. And the community of Redmond, from what I've seen just visiting their hometown area on a leadership retreat I did, which I'm so thankful for, that I got to experience that. But anyway, I always love to promote real salts. They're my favorite brand. I just use them, and I always use them for my private clients and everything. So back to the bread, because that's why we're here today in this now, is to learn some challah bread making. I'm really excited for it because it's another way that you can, in the kneading process, relieve some tension, stress, meditate, I love just to meditate throughout the day, working out, kneading bread, cooking. It's something that I've tried my hardest to practice often because I believe that's how we're truly going to, get in touch with our true selves and know how to move forward with this world. So I'm really excited to show you guys how to make this awesome challah bread and knead that dough. And so like I said, I did 3 cups of all-purpose white flour is what I am using. Now yesterday I did do one test and I recorded it, but something went wrong. I'm not advanced with technology, but however, I did use some wheat flour and it turned out nice. I liked it. However, it wasn't the exact flavor and texture and profile I was going for the overall end finished products for this diner that I have coming up for everyone. So today I'm using all-purpose white flour with real salts, and like I said, 3 cups, ½ teaspoon of salt. Mix all that. I have a whisk right here. And yes, I washed my hands before I started this with you all. Now, as we continue these videos, you'll see the growth and the transformation of me doing it on my own with just my little action camera, a little small, almost like a GoPro, but not. Camera, but not hopefully, but I know one day I'll have more, like kitchen shots, live action, and more movement. So this way it's more like you're here with me. But for now, I'm excited just to show you this because you can see the transformation of from where I came from to where I intend to go and how I plan to get there, and just by living in this moment of now. So my bread, the salt and flour is mixed together. My yeast is still growing. It's still, now look at that. I'm not sure how well you can see, but it's not, you'll notice it looking like nice and kind of foamy and frothy. So you still want it to grow a little bit more. And in the meantime, I have a 1/4 cup of goat's milk I use from my local farmer, who I also got these eggs from, CNC Farm. I always promote and support local. It is one way I believe that you can truly just voice your, not even voice, but if you shop locally and buy local produce and local products, you can ensure that you're providing, something for the community for everyone to grow together with. So I always promote it. And on top of that, those eggs are so rich and I love them. And the flavor is always more, it's more flavorful, and it just makes you feel better to know that you helped out your local farmer in your area, which I always love to do. So spread the wealth with it. I have a couple eggs from CNC Farm and another couple eggs from Piney Creek Gardens. So I love to get local from all farmers around the Northwest Arkansas area. And the salt's from Redmond, Utah. So, even if you can't get it local to your city or town, products such as salts, look and see where it's made at in the States. There's a tea I get from South Carolina and Charleston, which is one of my favorite teas. It's Bigelow Tea, and they're one of the only tea, well, they are the only tea plantation in the North American area. So anyway, enough about local, and let's get these eggs cracked into the 1/4 cup of goat's milk that I have in there. And don't forget that yeast is still growing. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about that. It's what's going to help this flour and milk and egg transform into this beautiful loaf of bread, or rolls of bread as well. So let's get those eggs and milk a little whisk, not too much. And we're also going to add some honey, some local honey from Missouri. It's from Dunnigan, Missouri, and pure honey, all natural. Ozark Country Kitchen is where it's packaged, and it is quite delicious. I actually got it from a chef friend of mine, Chef Coty. He's awesome. Hello, Chef Coty, if you're watching this. But he loves the local stuff too. Now I'm kind of eyeballing this. You want anywhere from a tablespoon or more if you like it sweet, or less if you don't like it so sweet, your bread. So I'm just putting a little less than a tablespoon in there because I did put that sugar into the yeast, so that sugar's still going to come out in flavor a little bit. And let's just give that a slight other whisk there. Now this yeast it's getting there. It's getting there. I would give it a couple more minutes, and in those minutes, I just want to let you know that bread making is so much of a learning process and growing process and transformation in all many ways. It just helps you to really meditate in the part that we're about to get into, which I'm most excited for. And I think this yeast is actually ready. So we're just going to go ahead, and now this water was more than warm. Well, it was more than warm. So this wakes up the yeast, and then we're going to whisk it in a little with our egg and milk mixture. Now we're finished with that. Now we have our flour. We're going to put a little bit in at a time. You know, I say about a cup of flour at a time. So yeah, 3 cups. So now, my favorite part is mixing it in. Now you can use a wooden spoon if you would prefer. However, one thing I love about bread is getting your hands into it. It's all about the love and just, you know, really just working with the dough and getting your hands involved and the attention and the care. I love working with my hands in many ways. I love being out in the garden and working with my hands. I love all sorts of activities that are hands-on. So now, back to the bread. Best way to get it stirred is take your hand as if you were going to pull it like a swimmer. Because I use a swim, so you'll hear a lot of swimming references, I'm sure. And then you want to shape it kind of like a hook, as if you're the dough hook for your KitchenAid mixer that you may have. And so just start stirring it slowly, because you don't want the flour going everywhere. So just give it a nice gentle stir, incorporate some of that flour. And as it gets incorporated with your dry hand, take some more flour. Just add about another cup of it. And like I said, just give it a gentle stir so your flour is not going everywhere. And just shake your hand like that hook, and just let your hand just press along and mix in the flour and the eggs and the milk. And just really make sure you're scraping the sides too. But if you keep your hands and your fingers together, this will help from getting it all between your fingers and you feel so sticky, and then you're like, why am I doing this? No, one hand's still a completely clean hand. This one, yes, it's a little wet right now, but once all this flour gets in here, it's going to be dry, and then all this dough is going to come off my hand, and then we're going to get into that exciting, awesome, meditative kneading process. So I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of my flour in here. Let's see. Excuse my... And again, bear with me as I grow through this. One day I'll have a nice industrial size, or at least commercial kitchen, and I'll be able to have everything where I need and hide the dirty dishes. But in the meantime, this is still fun, and I'm having a blast letting you guys watch me grow in my moment of now. This is really awesome. And you know, while I'm mixing this dough, look, see how nicely this dough is coming together. It's getting dry. This is exactly what we're looking for. Now, I do have a backup container of flour, because we will need some flour to dust for the kneading process. So, here we are. Now, what I like to do is just take a little bit in your hand and just kind of dash it across, you know? Dash it across. Just a little light. You don't want too much. You'll incorporate more flour as you're kneading in that process. So this is a really awesome and pretty simple bread recipe that, if you follow these directions exactly, you'll make just as beautiful challah bread as I can. And that's what I love about cooking, is that all of us are capable of doing it. We just all need to take the moment and the time of now and applying it and doing it, because we know we can do it. It's a survival skill that we need and must have as humans. So I love to share the knowledge of cooking and how simple that it really can be. So here we are. Let's get all this dough. Let's get a little more flour. So if there is more dough in your hand, just take some flour. You know, don't worry, all this flour that's getting all over your counter is just going to get worked up into the dough. So it'll be an easy cleanup. And how awesome would it be? You show up with some challah bread to your family's nice dinner or lunch, and how beautiful, and to you it's so simple, but to them it's going to be amazing. They're just going to love it, and it's going to be memorable too. And this is going to be a moment of your now that you're going to love and remember and cherish. So now we have some more flour. Now it's a little sticky, but that's okay. Like I said, once we incorporate some more of this flour in there, it will get dry. And we still have one more rising, well, this one is only on its first rising process, which I think it actually needs some more flour. So, I do have another dough already made because I wanted to make sure that you guys were able to see the process of from me starting it with the dough and kneading it, which is this one's a little more sticky than my last one, to be honest. But you know what, that's okay. I'd rather it be too sticky than not sticky enough than too dry, because it's much easier to add in more flour than it is to take out that flour, and then you have to add more wet ingredients, and that's just not a fun process at all. So yeah, now it's much more coming together. Alright, so now I have this back in the same bowl that I had it mixed up in, and what we're going to do, we're going to take a warm washcloth, which I'm going to steal from my other dough that I already had rising for you all to see, because this is going to take roughly 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how warm your home is, how warm it's in the area is, and I always like to put it by a warm oven. A good thing to do is you turn your oven on to warm, let it heat up, and then once you're ready to put your dough in there, cover it with a warm washcloth, turn off your oven, and then let your dough rise in there. And the warm kitchen towel will act as, you got wet, warm wet kitchen towel will act as a steamer for the bread to proof and rise, and this will help the process go by a lot faster for you. So I'm going to go stick this by my warm oven, which is just right over here. Okay, now looky here, we have a nice, beautifully risen dough, which I'm really excited to get into. This is one of the fun parts, is if you need any aggression to let out, or it's just fun in general, just take a little punch to the dough, you know? You're not going to hurt it, you just want to deflate it, let all the gases out from it rising and growing with the yeast. So then we're going to have this lightly floured surface, not too much, and just do a little bit more kneading. Now, I failed to show this to you earlier, but let me show you this process of kneading that is quite simple, actually. So you have your dough, and then you want to use your palm. I think of it like you're relieving pressure and you're relieving tension. So that's why kneading is so meditative and stress relieving. It's because the points on your palm that you're kneading the bread with are so stress relieving. How many times has someone told you to rub between your thumb and your finger right here? Because that tendon is a stress reliever. So kneading dough is very stress relieving. So we're going to take the palm of our hands right here and just gently press forward, just enough to give it some pressure. Then we're going to fold the dough over and then turn it, and then do the same thing. And fold it over and turn, press down. So we have turn, fold, press, turn, fold, press. Just as easy as that. It's really, and then once you get into it, you don't want to get overworked. You might have some really hard and tough bread, but just a nice few gentle ones on the second time is really all you need. And then we have this nice, beautiful dough. Oh my goodness, I can't wait till this bakes and gets delicious. So now, next thing is, I'm going to show you all, that's a good question. First, we're going to rip off one piece. And this, traditionally, when you're baking challah, you always tear off one knot off the main loaf, and that one's separate. I need to do more research into why. I do know that it is something to do with the Jewish way of making it. I'm not Jewish, however, I just know that little bit about it. So I always do it because I like to keep tradition, makes things fun. It just gives things more excitement and a purpose to just to pass something down. You know, it's a tradition that you can do with your kids, you can do with your family, friends, whatever it may be. Traditions are always fun to keep around, I think, so I'd always do it. And I love to learn new cultures and different people's traditions, so I like to keep them within, you know, the food that I'm cooking. I really love to research the traditions of where that food came from. Because food is a foundation, and we can learn a lot from it, from everyone else. So that's another reason why I love cooking, is just to share knowledge and way of life and cultures with people. It's so exciting to learn, and it's so exciting to share with you all my southern roots and strong hospitality background that I have from being down south. So, back to the bread. We have the one knot. Now to get a nice rounded ball, an easy way to do it is cup your hands like you're going to put out a light, and then you just want to fill the ball, roll around the bottom of your hand, and then you'll come out with a nice ball form. Now the second thing I want to show you is a knot. So you have about the same size ball, you turn off, and you want to roll it. So you want to, when you're rolling it out, you want to lay it on the counter and just don't use all your fingers, but mainly just your palm, and start to give it a roll. Press it down a little, and once you see it kind of stretch out some, take both of your hands. Kind of give it a nice little pull with the bottom of your thumbs. Gently pull it out, so you can feel the dough stretching. This is always fun. This is a fun thing for kids to do too. I love cooking with kids, especially doughs, because it's very hands-on. I've made pizza dough with kids, I've made challah bread with kids, pancakes, just any type of cooking really, but I love making doughs the best with them because they love to get their hands on the dough, and they love to be like, see the transformation and knowing that they did it. So it's a really awesome way to get your kids in the kitchen and excited about cooking awesome local organic bread that you made right in your home. So it's gonna taste even better, and just smelling it while it's baking is reward enough in my opinion. So back to the knot. So it's quite simple actually. We have a nice long, and if it's looking like it should go longer, it should be about double in size. Now, for the loaf, this one's going to make one smaller. If you use the full recipe to do a challah loaf, you'll be able to make a bigger one, such as this. Now, my bench press is right here. You want to divide your dough into 3 equal pieces. So I think that's 3 equal. If it's not, as long as it's close, you know, you can always throw a little off. I do. So, same thing with how we made the knot earlier. We want to roll these out into long tubular shaped pieces of dough. There we go. Yeah, this is going to be real nice. And like I said, once all that flour is incorporated into your dough, it's going to be really easy to work with. So in the beginning stages, whenever you're mixing your egg, if it feels that you need to add more flour to your dough, please do. Don't follow this measurements exactly, because maybe you're using a different type of flour that needs more liquid, or maybe you're using the type of flour that doesn't need as much liquid. Like, for instance, my wheat bread flour that I used yesterday, with the wheat flour, I was able to use less of the wheat flour than the all-purpose white flour. So now I know, but this is why this is a test. I'm testing these things out now, so whenever they're ready for everyone to try and taste, then they'll be, you know, the exact recipe that I'm looking for. And I'm really excited to share with you guys all of this journey, all of this process. It's been a long, not a long, but it's been an awesome and amazing journey for myself. Just challah bread is such a transformation, and I'm so excited. This is my first video that I've ever done for a cooking recipe, and I really hope this is all working out for you guys. I'm sure it will. Please tell me if you're interested in knowing more or something else, or you want to know a different recipe. Please shoot me a comment, shoot me a message. I'm also on Instagram at Organic Chef Coty. C-O-T-Y is my name. So please follow me on there. Follow what I'm doing with food and ask me for recipes, or whatever it may be. I'm all about living in this moment now and sharing these moments with you and recipes with you. I want everyone to be able to make bread for themselves in their home. This way now you can have hamburgers, you can have vegetarian patties, you can have French toast I'm probably going to make with this challah loaf, or bread pudding, or all of the above. There's so many things you can do with bread. It's very filling for you. And if you're making it yourself, then you know the nutrients that you're putting into it, and you know that there's no added sugars that you're unaware of. Long piece of dough, tubular, and you're just going to tie it in a knot. That's all you're going to do, as if you were going to make a pretzel. See, now we have a knot. So, we're going to keep that knot. And one thing I did, so there's a second time that the challah bread proofs. I like to let it proof a second time before I bake it. And so I went ahead and did a round of some. So here I have a simple roll with sesame seeds. Just a simple roll, no knot or anything. This is my knot. And then this was a little pinch I took off from the other dough. Now, what we're going to do next is place this one on here and this one. And we're going to give it a nice little egg wash. So I just cracked one egg and just kind of whisk it a little bit with a fork, which I already did. Not overly, just, you know, to mix the yolk up with the white a little bit. And then you're going to take a brush and we're going to brush it. So this way, you may always wonder how bakeries and professional chefs get that awesome and amazing glossy look on their desserts and their breads. Well, it's quite simple actually, and I'm going to tell you, it's just a simple egg wash. You can add a little bit of water to it if you want to, if you need to, you know, stretch out the egg a little bit more because you're doing more than just a little bit of loaf. But I just use just the egg. Some chefs will add water to it. Still, it's your preference really. But not only does it give it a nice glossy look after it's finished baking, however, it's also makes it easy for toppings to stick to it. So that's why I'm going to put sesame seeds on these, because of course you can't have a bun, in my opinion, without some sesame seeds on it. But sometimes I do leave them plain. Or poppy seeds, as I did this braided loaf over here. And I'm going to also show you how to do a braided loaf as well, for those of you who would like to make a nice big loaf for their family's gathering and be able to. What's fun about challah is that you don't cut it, you pull it apart. So these braids act as little just pieces to grab onto very easily and pull off, and it's just, when it's fresh out of the oven and hot, you just pull off that piece of knotted challah, and it's just so tasty and fresh. So I'm going to let these sit over by my oven, because these still need to proof. If these sit a little bit longer, it's really okay. Yes, so the second time, you're going to need to proof it for probably another 30 minutes, or maybe even 45 minutes if it's sugars that you're unaware of, other than this nice local honey or an organic cane sugar. So back to braiding the loaf. So now we have our 3 pieces. Now, let's face them all toward you. If you have one that's longer than the other, just put it in the middle. And you're going to connect them. So, for all the people out there that do know how to French braid, this is going to be quite easy for you, because that's basically what you're doing. So you're going to take this first middle one and put it over. And then, oh, I'm sorry. Ha! My mistake. You want to cross over the middle always. So middle, middle, middle. So you want to rotate. So you're going to go the right one over, and the left one over. Then when you get to the end here, just pinch it and tuck it in. And same with your other end. You can tuck it in there. And then we will put it on some pan and give it a nice little egg wash. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how much of my culinary education this reminds me of, because every day at culinary school, and all my chef friends that I keep in touch with can vouch for me that probably, I forget how long, but there were many months, like 4 months or something of the sort, that we would make challah bread for the cafe that we had down in the school. And that recipe was drilled in our heads. And not only the recipe, just challah bread in general. And I always was like, oh, I'm never going to make challah bread again after school. I made enough of it for myself in a lifetime. And now here I am, teaching everyone how to make this challah bread, which I hope that I've done a great job for you all, and this is all understandable. Please let me know if I need to speak up louder for the camera, if you would like to get up closer shots of the food, which here is the nice egg washed and sesame seed covered challah bread. So back to the challah in culinary school. It's just brought back so much memories in culinary school and how I've grown and transformed since that time. And you know, at that time, my moment of now was different, and I had a different perspective on things, and I have now grown into this chef who is local, farm to table, organic, and has still the same dreams and desires to help spread the knowledge of food and cooking and the love of cooking to the world, and how it brings us all together. And we can always rely on food to be there for us, because it's on this earth, it's part of this world. We just need to give to this world the means for it to grow. And that's why I love to teach people how to use local and farm to table products, because these, without the eggs from Cindy and the salt from Utah, and even the flour I did use a non-GMO organic flour. It's probably one of the only things that's not really local. The honey was local, and even the flour is made here in the States. So all things I try to use as locally as possible, and I just can't stress enough how much better for the world that is, and how it's awesome to see us all growing together and this world transforming and being more sustainable. And I'm excited to share with you my moments of now in this documentary, as you see me, you know, as I've grown from a chef in college till now. You'll continue to see me grow. So please, I encourage you all to get out there and be active in your moments and do your creations or arts, writing, whatever it may be. Get out there and do it. There's no better time than now, and I'm excited to just share this moment with you all. And thank you again for joining me on my first ever video demonstration of bread baking. And here's the finished products, by the way. Back to the bread baking. Here's the finished products, and what you're going to do is you're going to set your oven at roughly 325 to 350. Now this is going to depend if your oven runs higher in temperature and gets hot more quickly and stays hot, or if it's a more moderate and average oven than 325. But if it gets really hot, 350. But if it gets really hot, 325 is fine. And for roughly 15 to 30 minutes, depending on if you're making rolls or a huge loaf. And no matter what, check it at 15 minutes, turn it around, get a nice water bottle, spray some a mist in there, so this creates a nice steam for your bread, and it will help it bake as well. That will also give it a nice shine coat. So yeah, there's the finished product of the challah loaf, and I hope you all have enjoyed this as much as I have. I'm really excited to do more of these. You'll see me do other recipe days. Other days I may be doing other moments of now. You know, I've been doing a lot of deep cleaning lately, and so this is just all exciting. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining me, and again, I love feedback, and thank you all. Love you guys.